But this notion, and this is the gutter that I really want to avoid, you know, this chip away at trans people generally. We started this question talking about one bad apple.
I have not chipped away at transgender people.
And it's then been expanded into the fact that trans people aren't real, they're pretending. Well,
I never said that either.
That's not the case. Trans people have existed in all cultures, around the world, all times.
Come on, India.
It's a real thing. No,
you talked about misinformation, and now you're willfully misrepresenting what I said.
You're the one trying to drag it down. We are a tiny population.
I think anyone who's seen your Twitter account, India, will know a lot about gutter
puffing us up into this.
Well, I tell you what.
All right, guys. So I want to react to a pretty epic debate that I happened to stumble across. That actually comes out of the UK, okay? And they're discussing the issue of trans women being put in women's facilities, namely, like, you know, transgender inmates, right? We're talking about prison facilities, which is a big debate here in the United States as, again, you know, we are in Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff world, just like the United Kingdom is in Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff world. And we are allowing men who identify as women, who still have penises, to be in women's prisons because they say that they're a woman, and then unintended consequences have happened. Okay, like, you know, what anybody with an ounce of common sense would think would happen when you mix men and women in spaces like that. But unfortunately, our society in the Western world in general, we've lost common sense, and you end up with problems like this that really shouldn't be issues, again, if we were operating with common sense, especially the politicians, right? And that brings me to, again, this debate right here on the BBC, right? BBC. They are discussing this issue, and this one journalist by the name of Ella Whelan, who wrote a book about the end of feminism, right? How they need to end feminism, right? So that means she's probably pretty based to a certain degree, right? You gotta remember, this is the UK, so they're all overwhelmingly liberal in the grand scheme of things, but you know, it just varies. She's gonna set this transgender commentator, I guess news anchor, India will be straight on this issue of reality when it comes to sex, okay, and gender, and this issue of transgender women sharing spaces with women, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
As Kelly said, this is a discussion that is not just about the situation of prisons or crisis centres, which are very important places that are sex-based for a reason. And there's a kind of, it's remarkable to me that politicians in this country, in Scotland and Wales and in England, seem to have given up on the, you know, belief in reality that sex is real and that it's irrefutable. And
yeah, that's in the United States too, right? Democrats have given up in the reality that sex is real. Again, I try to tell you guys, if you want to know what's coming to the United States, just go to the UK, look in Western Europe. They're way woker than we are, right? In Canada as well too. Whatever's over there eventually will come over here, right? So yeah, they've been dealing with this for a minute, and yeah, our politicians, the Democrat Party, has lost touch with reality as well.
It's really important because this isn't just about...
This is the transgender woman I'm talking about, right? So this is a transgender woman that's not going to like what this other woman is saying.
About those kind of very intense places like a prison or like a crisis centre where it is vital that, you can beg the question, why can't men budge up and let someone into solitary confinement?
What you're about to hear now,
the point is, hang on, the point is, if politicians and a government cannot deal in reality and in truth and deal with facts that are based on the things that we all understand, then why would you have any belief in anything they say? Why would you have any belief in the justice system? Because for the kind of group that we haven't mentioned so far is women, and it's women who are being made to pay for it.
Facts. Facts. Again, surprise. She's getting a round of applause here. She's getting a round of applause, right, for stating biological facts, okay, for stating that politicians need to operate in reality. See, in the U.S., right, she would have been met with boos, right, depending on the audience, right? If there was like The View or something like that, they would have either been silent or, you know, she would have got booed. But what she's saying is 100% correct. How in the world can I vote for somebody who can't even acknowledge basic reality when it comes to sex, right? If you can't acknowledge the basic reality that there are male and there are female, there are men and there are women, there are only two genders, then I can't trust you to legislate. I can't trust you and your judgment to be able to make decisions and to run a country, right? I just can't trust you because you're not operating in reality. We need people that are in office that are operating in reality, not cuckoo for Cocoa Puff world, right? Because their decisions have real life consequences. And again, the issue of, you know, men being allowed in women's spaces has real life consequences. And the reason why this is happening is because we have politicians that are not operating in reality, that really are accepting this idea that a biological man with a penis, okay, can just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm a girl, and they should be allowed to use the women's restroom, to shower with women, to be put in women's prisons. And it's ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, women are the ones that are suffering the most from this. And it's a shame because these same politicians will claim to stand up for women's rights, okay, but yet they silence women who speak out against this and say, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this. I don't like this. I feel like I'm being violated. They silence women as, you know, transphobic, anti-LGBTQ or whatever. It's just kind of funny how that works.
There's lots of times I'll come to you, India. I know you want to come back in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, it's not trans people who are going around attacking women, either in life or in prisons. It's predatory men. The biggest offenders within prisons are actually...
Well, do you think Adam is a man then?
Now, I'll answer your question. This person, I'm not going to call them that because that's not the name that they go by now. We live in a civilized society, and just as
we're talking about. I mean, I don't know how they fit into civilized society.
I know you're desperate to drag this into the gutter, but I'm not going to go there. If there is a gay sex offender or a gay predator, we don't suddenly become homophobic. If there's a black rapist, we don't suddenly become rapists. Well, what do you mean by they're pretending they're something they're not? They could be a genuine trans person who's born that way, who's had no choice. You're making it sound like a lifestyle, something that they've opted to do. You don't know. You're presuming.
Well, I mean, it is a lifestyle. It is something that they've opted to do, right? I mean, that's exactly what it is. Again, it's fascinating how this person, again, when they're talking about, well, it's not trans women that are doing all this, it's men. And I'm like, well, a trans woman is a man, right? They're a biological man. So yes, you're correct. That in this situation, what you're specifically talking about here, which is, you know, trans women who, again, some of them, you know, have committed, you know, some of these acts in some of these women's spaces, yeah, they happen to be men, right? Which is why we're saying that this shouldn't be allowed. We shouldn't allow them to mix like this, right? But again, when you're not operating in reality, okay, this is kind of how the conversation goes, right? Where this person clearly doesn't realize or recognize biological reality of men and women, and then you get unintended consequences like this, in which, again, biological women suffer the most.
Kelly, if I just really quickly, Kelly made the point that she's very liberal-minded, and I think most of us are like that. You know, the vast majority of people, save a few bad apples, are generally of the, you know, mindset of live and let live, you know, love who you want to love, dress how you want to dress, call yourself what you want to call yourself. Sorry. And, you know, that's, you know, you kind of have to bend over backwards apologising as a woman and do all that whole kind of spiel before you get to say what you want to say. But generally, people are liberal-minded. What we won't accept is to be forced to say things that we know aren't true, that sex is irrefutable, and that men can turn into women by stating it after 3 months of living.
I tell you what, because I must admit, India, of course I will let you back in. I just want to, the First Minister herself was saying today that she thinks Ella Bryson is probably faking it. That's her view.
Yes.
And do you share that?
And it's a possibility. I'm saying I don't know. Nobody in this audience actually knows what that is. The people...
Yeah, so if you don't know, then how can you just assume? You literally just said, what, 5 minutes ago that they're a woman, right? That they're a trans woman. So again, if you don't know they're faking it, wouldn't the safe thing be to say, hey, we should not allow this person, again, who has a penis, to be in a woman's facility, right? Maybe we should evaluate the fact that there is a chance that some of these trans women are not actually trans women. They're faking it for the sake of trying to commit certain acts, right? Again, somebody who's genuine, okay, look, they can be put in a gender neutral facility, right? If they want to be comfortable. But I'm just saying, we have to acknowledge the reality that there's some people that could simply be faking it. Also, on top of that, you do have the issue of trans women who say that they're lesbian, right? Who haven't had the bottom surgery, right? So what do you do in that situation? Okay, I guess you can make the argument that they put gay men in prison together, right? But I mean, look, here's the thing: you're talking about two men, two people with penises, right? Versus somebody with a penis and somebody with a vagina being put together. So I think they're a little bit different. But I'm just saying, gender neutral facility should be the middle ground, right? But no, there is no middle ground for these people. They always want the most extreme solution, which is to disenfranchise women, right? Because again, apparently they care about the rights of men that want to be women more than the actual rights of the rights of women who actually are women.
People who do know or will make that judgment are the people that are actually talking to are involved in this case. But this notion, and this is the gutter that I really want to avoid, this chip away at trans people generally. We started this question talking about
outrageous.
One bad apple.
I have not
and it's
chipped
then
away at
been
transgender
expanded into the fact that trans people aren't real, they're pretending.
I never said that either.
That's not the case. Trans people have existed in all cultures around the world, all times.
Come on, India.
It's a real thing. No,
you talked about misinformation, and now you're willfully misrepresenting what I said.
You're the one trying to drag it down. We are a tiny population.
I think anyone
we
that's
are not
seen
a threat.
your Twitter account, India, will know a lot about gutter
puffing
discussion.
us up into this.
Well, I tell you what we want to do.
Yeah, so I don't think that anybody saying that transgender women are a threat in general, right? I think what people are saying is that, well, there's a chance that there's some people that can be pretending. And we just should not have, biological men and women in the same spaces like that. We shouldn't be mixing them in the same facilities like that, especially, again, biological men who still have penises. Now, I think it's a little bit of a different conversation if that person has undergone surgery. If they are post-op, then I think it's a little bit different. I think the conversation goes, okay, well, the main threat, which is them having a penis, is now gone. Right. So now we have a conversation. But I think that the middle ground really is just gender neutral facility or whatever facility matches your biological sex. Right. But I think gender neutral facility is the middle ground. However, again, these people never want the middle ground. Right. They want to boohoo, whine, and cry victim, just like this person did, and advocate for the most extreme policies that, really are chipping away at the right of women. Right. Nobody's chipping away at the right of transgender folks. Right, or the LGBTQ community. But the problem is that these people define LGBTQ rights as their right to do the most extreme thing that you can in society, right? Or special rights and privileges, right? They define LGBTQ rights as, again, the right for biological men to use women's spaces, okay? Or for the right of, LGBTQ teachers to push their gender ideology or their sexual ideology on kids. That is not a right, right? You talk about special rights, okay? You're now fighting for special rights and privileges that other people don't have in society. For example, a Christian teacher just can't walk into school and start, converting kids to Christianity and reading the Bible. They get fired, right? So again, it's just amazing to me to watch some of these debates, and it's just crazy because some of these people are just like this woman said, this base woman, that some of these people just not operating in reality, man. And when you're debating somebody that's not operating in reality, it's really difficult, right? Because they're not interested in coming to an actual common sense solution that works for everybody as much as they are focused on just making sure that everybody has to adhere to their reality, okay, which is just, it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puff world, right? Looney Tunes land. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.